Hi there, my name is Dr. Lee Mackenzie, and this is a screencast about integrating video screencasts into your learning or teaching and the benefits and opportunities that doing so offers. So first we'll talk about what video screencasting is, then we'll talk about the benefits of video supported learning and teaching in general. And then we'll consider how video screencasts can be used to support learning and teaching. And then I'll end by giving you some examples of how video screencasting can be implemented in learning and teaching contexts, drawing on my own experiences of using video screencasting. So what is video screencasting? It's different from the use of videos more generally in teaching and learning, because video screencasts are user generated either by the student or the teacher. The free software that I use is ScreenPal, which permits a maximum length of 15 minutes, though Loom also seems to be popular and free. And the affordances of this software include that it can capture the user's webcam, that you will see in the corner of the screen my image, and it's also capturing my voice, while it simultaneously allows me to share my screen. So the recorded screencast can then be uploaded to YouTube, VLE, or shared as an MP4. So one key benefit of using videos to support learning and teaching is highlighted by Daniel and colleagues, who make the point that distance and e-learning can smash open the iron triangle of higher education, as it does not sacrifice quality in order to boost access, nor do the costs increase if the access increases. Daniel, as some of you might know, was the Vice Chancellor of the Open University in the 1990s. And they make the point that videos as part of a distance or e-learning course can therefore challenge the iron triangle, since anyone with a reasonable internet connection can watch the video whenever and wherever they want, and a video can be delivered at the same cost as delivering a teaching session, and the costs don't increase if more people have access to it. And since the content can be accessed from anywhere with an internet connection, either by uploading the video to YouTube or to a VLE, it can support learners with different needs. Time-poor learners or those who live a long way from the physical learning environment may benefit from the use of videos to deliver content, as opposed to having it delivered through face-to-face lectures. So video supported learning and teaching is also a good option for those living in digital poverty, since it consumes less data than video conferencing calls, and viewers can watch the video as and when they have internet access. So I worked for Columbian University during the pandemic and the transition to emergency remote teaching. And many students in Colombia that I was working with had to pay for each byte of data that they used. And poor Colombians often have to share a device for accessing the internet across the household. So there may only be certain times of day when they can go online. Of course, there are also other issues such as power cuts. And videos obviously require some sort of internet connection, so it's not a perfect option, but it's a better alternative to synchronous video conferencing for those whose internet access is patchy or costly. Another benefit of using videos to support learning and teaching is highlighted by Rajadel and Garriga Garzón, who show how dynamic images can capture students' attention and have an emotional impact and also increase motivation. Similarly, Harrison makes the point that the physical and temporal integration of words and images can improve learning. And a final point to think about is that it can provide a personalized means of communicating with learners during semester breaks, for example. Some additional benefits include that it can be more inclusive of not only time-poor learners or those not living close to the learning institution, but also of learners with different educational needs. For example, being able to follow a video with subtitles can be very helpful for English language learners or those with hearing difficulties. Being able to replay an excerpt of a video several times can be beneficial. Short interactive videos in particular, where learners have to do something during or after watching the video, have been shown to result in better learning outcomes. For this reason, I give students one or more tasks to complete while they watch my videos, which I limit to no more than 15 minutes in length, as this is the maximum length permitted in the free version of the software I use. I either reveal the answers to the tasks later in the video, or I upload them to a VLE such as Moodle so that students can check their answers. A final benefit that I wanted to draw attention to is that if learners in particular are tasked with recording a screencast video as part of their assessment, it can help them acquire 21st century skills. And I found this quote from Kogo and colleagues. And what do you think the missing word is? It's the same word for both gaps. So what one word fits here and here? Any guesses? You can pause the video if you want to stop and think about this. They were talking about teachers, but they could equally have been talking about employees or workers more generally. So how can video screencasts be used by educators to support learning and teaching? So they can be used asynchronously as part of a blended hybrid learning flipped classroom in order to prime students for the face-to-face learning component. Here I follow Piccone and Warren's definition of blended learning to mean a mix of physical face-to-face on-site classroom contact, which is of necessity synchronous, and virtual learning, which may be delivered either synchronously or asynchronously. According to these authors, blended learning is synonymous with hybrid learning, but is distinct from distance learning, which implies solely virtual means of contact with minimal face-to-face interaction. Piccone and Warren categorize the flipped classroom as a type of blended learning where class time is spent on collaborative, student-centered learning rather than on learners passively receiving information transmission style. Instead, in learners' own time, they can watch screencasts whereby the teacher transmits the relevant content to them. In other words, where there is a lot of information that has to be transmitted to students, to learners, this might be best delivered through screencasts, as this frees up classroom time to focus on the acquisition of procedural knowledge. So the procedural knowledge is the getting of the skills, and the declarative knowledge is the understanding of what those skills are. And both types of knowledge are required in order to learn. One example could be your driving theory and your driving practical. So the theory test, that's the declarative knowledge, but then the driving test, where you have an instructor sitting next to you, that's the procedural knowledge, where you put that knowledge into practice. So students want to know, what is the added value of coming to class? making face-to-face time interactive, engaging, collaborative, student-centered, and focused on the development of skills while transmitting declarative knowledge to learners asynchronously through video screencasts makes sense from a learner's perspective. From a socio-cultural or constructivist perspective, video screencasts can be used by educators to support learning through scaffolding, which Christ, Arya, and Chu define as adaptive support for a person to complete a task. For example, a video screencast can pre-teach vocabulary from a reading or a listening, can introduce useful language for a written assignment or oral presentation, or clarify a concept or theory prior to the application of that concept or theory. Videos could also provide a useful model or example of how to teach a particular language point, which is helpful for teachers in training who can learn more from experienced teachers' practices and techniques. Similarly, if you feel that learners have struggled with a particular concept or reading, a short video could be made to provide further clarification. Or it could be that students are struggling to make sense of the assignment, so a video could also be made to clear this up. So here is an example of a screencast I made to highlight the importance of theory for students on the educational doctorate program. I adapted this video from a keynote presentation I gave in order to summarize the key points from that presentation. As mentioned, short videos which require learners to do something while they watch are best. The answers could be in the video, but the task provides a reason to engage and puts learners in a more active mode of learning than simply watching the video without any task would. And the answers could also be posted to a discussion board on Moodle as a way of checking, understanding, and continuing the conversation. This is another example of a video which I made on referencing. Again, there is a task for this video, which is here, in order to increase engagement, and the feedback on this task is a way of checking understanding. So instead of posting the answers to a discussion board on Moodle, students could be asked to bring their notes on the answers to these questions to the following week's tutorial, which would be a way of flipping the classroom. So how can video screencasts be used by students to support teaching and learning? Turning to this issue more specifically, there are no doubt many ways that video screencasts made by students can support teaching and learning, but I'm going to focus mainly on assessment. Obviously, it depends what you're going to assess, but some examples might include assessing reflection, assessing students' ability to summarize a text in their own words, or to test their understanding of a particular concept. It might be a particularly useful option for those who are anxious about face-to-face presentations, such as people like myself who have high levels of anxiety about public speaking. And here is an example of such a task. The verbs here in the what to include section correspond to those which promote higher order thinking according to Bloom's taxonomy, which is something to think about when you're designing assessments. And this is a second example of an assessment that could be designed to incorporate a video screencast using the same template as before, and with clear guidelines which, if you follow, you will notice that I am not following because it's quite late here in the UK and it's already dark. Here are some additional resources that I've made. One is on how to record a video presentation, and the other one is on how to upload your screencast to YouTube. And here are the references. And thank you very much for your time.